But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Call Halayim La, Alahayanawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakodash. All praise to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name Yahushai, in the name Holy Spirit. Double honor to elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone. Peace and blessing to your hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching his word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's gonna make you just like him, and he's gonna give you everything in due season, okay? I'm gonna read the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just gonna read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is a Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. Because King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17 and 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, meaning you will behold this truth. Okay? This truth is the Lord's face, his image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding this truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand this truth. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahushai returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's gonna make you just like him. First, he gave you this truth. You have this truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word because he is the word. He comes in the volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The law, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the law, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're going to be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now, this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning at verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad. Now, this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now, these are Psalms written by our beloved King David, but a lot of these Psalms, you hear Yahweh Shai in spirit. Therefore, my heart is glad and my glory rejoiceth. Talking about Yahweh Shai. Because he knew that he was going to be resurrected after his crucifixion. And he knew what glory would follow his crucifixion, you know? He had that tunnel vision. He believed in the reward that he was going to receive. Therefore, my heart is glad and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. Dealing with him being crucified. He wasn't going to stay like that.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, morning news and prophecy, the digital gathering of the nations, because as we know, according to end time prophecies, all right, that these nations, will be gathered. Okay, and a part of these nations being gathered for war, okay, these nations, or with a new system, okay, and this new system, okay, is interconnecting all these nations digitally, okay, and eventually these nations are going to fall out, because they agree to a point, because according to prophecy, all right, one nation shall be against another, one realm against another, all right, one kingdom against another, okay, and what's happening, the elites, are connecting all these nations, to this one global system, okay. Yeah, within the midst, of him trying to achieve that, all right, this digital tower of Babel, okay, they're going to fight. They're going to go to war, all right. In the midst of their war, Yahweh Shai, is going to intervene, okay, and conquer all the heathen. He's going to destroy all the militaries of the heathen, okay, and subdue all the heathen, okay. So everything that we're seeing is leading to the second coming of Yahweh Shai, which this is our expectation, this is our reason, okay, and our hope, all right, that we have, all right, within this truth is a second coming of Yahweh Shai to set everything right, because this devil is doing some hell of a wickedness in the earth, man, so let's get a few precepts, all right, and then let's go here. All right, let's go here to the book, and this is the AMP, Isaiah 14:13. It says, but you said in your heart, I was ascend to heaven. Okay, and this devil, his technology reaches to the atmosphere, the heaven going into the Shemayim. Okay, because you got, the heaven, which consists of a rulership. Okay, you got heaven, which consists of the atmosphere. You look up, the star, the moon, the exosphere, these different things. And right, what you see when you look up, what you can see with the physical eye. And then you have the third heaven, which is the spiritual realm. Okay. And this devil, all right, his technology has reached, to the atmosphere, man. Okay, he's his GPS, his satellites. He even has weaponry in the heavens. Direct energy weapons. Okay, so this man, all right, like no other heathen has done, has extended to the heaven. Okay, and this is what the devil, has been able to start to interlink. Okay, interconnect everything. You have this thing called the Internet of Things. Okay, now he wants to take a step further and do the Internet of Bodies. Okay, he wants to connect people to this digital system. All right, that he's been able. All right, that he's establishing in the earth, man. And we're going to go to the dangers of what this devil is doing, and we're going to go into, the brother found, a fire rundown from chat about how this system, this DPI, digital public infrastructure, aligns with what Esau will be doing in the end time biblically, man. Okay, so all these things interconnect. Okay, so this devil has said in his heart, in his mind, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of the Most High. Now we know the stars of the Most High begins with the Israelites. Okay, because that's this devil's number one boast within his rulership is that he has the Most High's people in captivity. Okay, and in his mind, because this is Esau, this whole digital public infrastructure, this new system, what he's trying to do, this is him hardening his heart, just like Pharaoh told Moses that he would not let the Lord's people go. Okay, well, this is Esau saying, look, I'm not going to let these people go. Matter of fact, I'm going to build a new infrastructure that gives me more control, okay, over the Lord's people. Ultimately, it's control over all people, all right, but there's always an emphasis on the Israelites, man. Okay, everything that this devil does, there's an emphasis on the tribes. Okay, so in his mind, all right, he's just going to continue on, okay, in his rulership, all right, with a new system, all right, that reassures his authority and power forever. Okay, and it says, I will raise my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit on the mount of the assembly in the remote parts of the north, and that's over here in America, which is spiritual Egypt, okay, Babylon and Great, which all these represent, captivity for Israel. Okay, Israel being dominated by the heathen. Okay, and this, like I said, this devil, he wants to extend this forever. Because he's hearing the prophets speak about just as Moses, because Moses, was sent as a prophet to Pharaoh, and the Lord has raised up prophets once again, okay, to the new Pharaoh, which is Esau. So Esau is hearing this word, and what is he doing? All right, he's doubling down on the captivity. He hears us talking about the kingdom. He hears us talking about being redeemed, putting back in power. Okay, and this devil, he's working against that. You see, verse 14 says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Okay, you see? So in his mind, he's just finna elevate him. He's finna take his power to another level. We're telling him through the scriptures, the will of Yahweh Shema Shai. We're telling him the Lord, okay, is saying that he's finna bring him down. Okay, but Esau like, nah, nigga, I'm going up. Okay, and you niggas will never get out of captivity. This is what this man is saying with this technology, man. Okay, this is what he's boasting in. You see, it said, I will make myself like the Most High. Okay, and he thinks that with this technology, he's going to be omnipresent, omnipotent, knowing all, seeing all, everywhere at the same time. Okay, so this is what this man is trying to pull off. Okay, and he's gathering these nations, in this digital system, man. But all this is going to work against him. Okay, the Lord going to flip a switch, and all these things that he's doing, all right, to reestablish his power, to reaffirm his power, okay, to reassure, okay, his dominance in the earth and his dominance over the Lord's people is going to work against him. Okay, so these are the times, okay, that we're coming into. You see, so I got let's go here. I got a couple videos, and so I want to get that in the chat too. You know, the brother sent it to me, but let's go here. You know, because even Yahweh Shai spoke about this devil collapse, man. You see, and the Lord using the prophet to speak. Okay, this man's uh this man's demise through the prophets, man. The Lord using the prophets to speak this man's collapse, his fall into existence, man. Okay, Luke 10:18, he said to them, all right, this Yahweh Shai, I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning. Okay, and this is Esau, you know, the physical counterpart of Satan. You know, so everything that he's doing, you know, he spent centuries, you know, especially these last few decades, several decades, building this thing out. Okay, and this digital, all right, public infrastructure, DPI, okay, is going to be powered. Okay, this is what's going to power the chip. Okay, so this devil, he's building out the infrastructure. Okay, that's going to be needed. Okay, to run society via the micro C-HIP. You know, there's a lot of talks about the digital ID, which that just, you know, a stepping stone, okay, to his ultimate agenda, you know, his the crowning of his enterprise, which is the MOTB, you know. And so this devil, this is what he's all about now. You know, everything that he's doing is a step towards this. Okay. So you people that think, you know, the government, all right, is here for your interest. No, the government is fully brought and owned and paid for by the elite banking families to push their agenda. Okay, that's why the only moves being made, okay, are to forward the agenda of technocrats, man. Okay, because this devil, he's ready to build this thing out. Okay, he's ready to make the C-HIP mandate. Okay, and move forward with New World Order, man. Okay, now we've been talking a lot about, you know, DPI lately. So now let's go into what that is and what that looks like. Okay. And then also 6G, you know, and it's no coincidence the number 6. Okay, going to the number of a man. All right, we're gonna delve into a little bit of that as well. Okay, so let's play this. All right, and this is just a quick summary of DPI and showing you that these things are already being rolled out. Okay, in the earth. Okay, this devil, he's already covering ground with this digital public infrastructure, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Imagine you're setting up a brand new nation. What digital systems and frameworks would you need to enable the government and the economy to operate in the most inclusive, secure, and efficient way, and without having to build the same things over and over again? We've just described digital public infrastructure, or DPI. DPI enables the most fundamental digital interactions within society, such as proving who you are, paying for goods and services, sharing your data, or proving an entitlement to something. DPI is not just software. It includes data, models, standards, and frameworks that together form a foundation to rapidly build digital services on top of. Successful examples include India's Aadhaar identity service, in which more than 1 billion people have been registered, Estonia's X-Road data exchange, the UK's messaging platform Notify, which sends 1.6 billion messages a year, SingPass in Singapore, with more than 170 million transactions annually, and Brazil's Pix instant payment system, which is already used by 71% of the country's population. These are all examples of successful DPI implementations. And DPI delivers significant savings, accelerated modernization for governments, increased inclusion and reduced fraud, as well as innovation in both private and public sector. India estimates it saves more than $31.8 billion a year through its DPI. That's the equivalent of nearly 1% of its GDP. Estonia's DPI saves more than 2,000 years of working time a year and 2% of its GDP. And when a nation open sources that DPI, it allows many others to reuse it. Australia's Digital Transformation Agency reused the GovUK Notify code base, in which the UK government had spent 3 years and millions of pounds developing and running. The Australians implemented their version within 2 months and a cost of less than $100,000. Several African nations, including Morocco, Madagascar, Uganda, are all reusing MOSA, an open source identity platform. And Estonia's X-Road is being reused by more than 30 countries, including Brazil, Finland, and Japan. The cloud is a powerful enabler for DPI, providing the scalability, security, and flexibility necessary to meet the demands of these nation-scale implementations in a cost-effective way. DPI is having a huge impact on people's lives worldwide, while saving taxpayers billions of dollars. I think it's a real game changer for how governments deliver digital public services and stimulate innovation in all sectors. If you'd like to find out more, please get in touch at digitalpublicinfrastructure@amazon.com.
All right, so let's go from there. Okay, so what we're seeing, so what we're seeing being rolled out, okay, is the digital public infrastructure throughout the world. Okay, and in order for this man to be able to have complete control, he needs this DPI everywhere. He needs all nations operating on these digital public infrastructure, all right, systems. Okay, in which he's able to track. All right, he's able to cut you off. Okay, he's able, to restrict, what you spend, how you spend. Okay, so 'cause in order to have programmable money, he needs the infrastructure in place to make this money programmable. All right, your money doesn't work, all right, in this store, but it work in this store. Okay, your money doesn't work in this region, but it works in that region. Soon as you walk out a particular range, what they call geofencing. Okay, soon as you walk out a particular range, their money cut off. Well, they need the infrastructure set up to have. Okay, Donald Trump, all right, he got into office January 20th. And January 21st, what did he do? Okay, he wrote in executive orders, Project Stargate, which gave $500 billion, okay, to AI infrastructure. which is all part of the digital public infrastructure. Okay, because AI is going to be the one governing, okay, this infrastructure. You see, it's going to be autonomous. Okay, it's going to be AI that's going to be keeping up with your behavior patterns. It's going to be AI that's going to be giving you a social credit score. Okay, within this digital public infrastructure. Okay, and they're selling this thing as convenience, as advancement. All right, in society. Okay, they're pushing this thing as if it's for your good. It's about speed and convenience. Okay, to increase your quality of life. To free you up to do other things, but it's the exact opposite, man. It's digital enslavement. Okay, so that's what this DPI is. Okay, and Howard Shah, he warned us of these things. Let's get this real quick in Luke. Then I got another video I want to get into, but you get this in the book of Luke, chapter 21. Okay, in verse 34. All right, this Luke 21:34 says, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with some fighting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares." Okay, because the devil is rolling it out. While people are distracted, people still talking about some damn Epstein list. Like, if he released that, what is they going to do? Okay, if he released everything that happened on Epstein Island, what's next? Okay, that don't matter. Okay, all these little arguments and the people arguing about Trump talking about counseling income tax and the tariff revenue will replace income tax and all these arguments that don't matter. Okay, people are still caught up into sports and celebrity gossip and even Jake and Israel, they want to argue back and forth over nothing. And Jake want to remix the doctrine, you see, and argue about it and debate over what we know, all right, to be true. Okay, and this is all distraction while this man is rolling this thing out. Okay, while nigga trying to prove Cornelius is a Edomite, Esau is rolling out DPI. Okay, Esau is rolling this thing out. You see? So Yahweh Shai is letting us know, man, take heed to yourselves, man. Don't get caught up, okay, the cares of this life, okay, the arguments that don't matter, the back and forth. Okay, stay tapped in. You see, verse 35, for is a snare. And see, this is a snare. You see, he's rolling out the snare now. The DPI is one big snare. Okay, and it's going to look glamorous. Okay, it's going to look like a giant step forward. Okay, but that's what a snare is supposed to look like. Okay, a trap, a snare is supposed to look like it's in the favor of what you're trying to trap. Okay, so he's going to push these things as if it's in the favor, okay, of those he's trying to trap, which is the masses, man. These are the few elite families, okay, putting the earth in one big trap. Okay, this digital public infrastructure, man. It said, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always that ye may be accounted worthy to escape. So we want to be counted worthy to escape. Okay, but see, this is going to take faith on our end to resist, because it's going to come to a point to where we just got to completely detach and completely depend on our power. Okay, it's going to get to the point to where we can't deal anymore, man. All right, and it's going to take faith. You see, so the Howard Shah is telling us to watch, man. We're watching this devil roll this thing out, man. Okay, they said that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man, okay, which is Yahweh Shai. You see, we want to be counted worthy to stand before Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Okay, I want to play a little bit of this as well. Let's go here. Okay, because now, you know, there's a big thing about 5G. Now you got 6G coming out. Okay, and 6G is going to be, you know, supposed to be a part of this DPI that's going to make everything work. Okay, there's going to, you know, that's going to be the speed that they need, because they need a lot of computing power, and this devil needs a lot to pull this off, man. And he's acting like he's just, you know, one boat away. You know, he just got to tighten down on one boat. Okay, and he good. All right. No, it's going to take a lot for the devil to try to pull this off, man. And a lot of people, all right, are gonna be harmed in the process, man. Not just because of civil unrest, man, but this devil is a mad scientist, man. Okay, and a lot of things that he's doing, he's experimenting. Okay, he really doesn't know, okay, the repercussions of everything that he's doing. You know, even with his, you know, experiments, and he got certain, you know, data and you know, analysis on certain things. All right, but he's never launched nothing on this scale. You see, doing something in the lab or doing tests on a few subjects is one thing, but rolling this thing out globally on a major scale like this, he's never done it. He's never been able to do this before. He doesn't have an Earth and a population that he can experiment on and say, okay, you know, and get data from. No, he's doing it real. He's experimenting real time with a lot of this, man. Okay, and the closer that he gets to trying to pull this off, the more power that he's finding out that he's gonna need. All right, and he's just gonna try shit, and people, okay, are gonna be through. You know, the scriptures say, "Oh, this is the worst time ever." If a brother want to post that, you know, Matthew 24 and 21. Okay, the Lord really got to intervene, man, because this devil, okay, is losing his goddamn mind, man. So let's go into this 6G and let them talk about this 6G, man. All right.
Well, forget about 5G. Get ready for 6G networks. Remember when 180 scientists from 36 countries wrote to the European Union demanding that they stop the rollout of 5G because of massive health concerns? Remember how they warned governments that we absolutely should not deploy this technology until we study the long-term effects on human beings? Well, let me read it for you. We, the undersigned scientists, recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the 5th generation 5G until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency like electromagnetic fields, RF, EMF, and has been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment. Yeah, well, they blew right past that. They didn't give a hoot about it. They ignored the scientists. They rolled it out anyway. And now, without addressing one single of those concerns, they're preparing to unleash something far more powerful, far more invasive, and potentially far more dangerous, 6G. So here today, I wanted to break down exactly what this technology is, how it works, why governments and corporations are racing to deploy it right now, and why, once again, experts and scientists are sounding the alarm about its risks, from cybersecurity to surveillance to national security to human health. Like across the board, they're criticizing this. Because once you understand what 6G actually does, you'll understand why this isn't just like another tech upgrade, like some guy up on a tower just like upgrading a transformer. It will be a transformation of human life and possibly a threat to it, in the very same way that mRNA vaccines changed millions of lives. So what is 6G exactly? So let's start with some of the basics. 6G is the 6th generation of the cellular network technology, the thing that's supposed to replace 5G. Of course, that's the obvious part. But unlike previous upgrades, the jump from 5G to 6G is actually massive. 6G will operate on frequencies far higher than anything used today. It's extremely tight. It's like laser-like beams of energy that can deliver unimaginable data speeds, near zero latency. Now, I've spoken to sources who've worked for these companies, and they've told me their business plan is to basically eliminate your need for Wi-Fi in your home. Like, you won't need to call up Comcast. You won't need to call up any other providers because 6G will just be all around you. Why would you pay for Comcast? It's going to be super fast, so no need to get Xfinity in your home. No need to have a router in your home. That's the plan. I've seen the documents, and I've talked to the techs who are actually building this out. So here's the major difference, though, between 5G and 6G. 6G will be AI native, of course. So everything's AI, right? Artificial intelligence won't be just an add-on. It will be built into the network at every level. The system will make real-time decisions. It'll reroute traffic. It'll identify patterns. And by the way, it'll self-heal itself without a single human being even being involved in it. Skynet, I guess, right? So this network becomes autonomous. So in other words, this is the first time in history that we are creating a communication system that actually thinks for itself and heals itself. So how does this 6G actually work? Well, let's break this down. 5G runs mostly on sub-G 6 gigahertz and some millimeter wave frequencies. 6G leaps into the terahertz spectrum, roughly 100 times faster than 5G. But those frequencies can't travel far. They get blocked by like cement walls and trees. Even humidity blocks it. Good luck, Florida. So how do you actually blanket an entire country or the entire planet with something that barely travels and humidity gets in the way? Well, the answer is both ingenious and actually pretty terrifying. They're using reconfigurable intelligence surfaces. These are walls, windows, street signs, and everyday objects that are turned into active components of the network, capable of redirecting wireless signals like mirrors. In fact, one of the techs I spoke to about this said, just imagine walking down the street and every stop sign you see, every telephone pole you see, or every other metal pole you see right outside of your apartment would have one of these like 6G components on it. In other words, the environment becomes the network, with massive antenna grids.
This man is turning the earth into one big satellite dish, man. You know, this man is absolutely going crazy. And all that, you know, running through people. Because remember, it's running through people, man. You know, this man is absolutely crazy, man. Okay, and the 5G from 6G, say it jumps from gigahertz to terahertz, man. Okay, and he's going to present this as if, you know, this is going to be the global Wi-Fi network. Okay, you won't need, you know, internet provider anymore. This is going to be a global Wi-Fi network. You see, and what this devil is finding out is it's going to take a lot of power, okay, to power this thing, okay, this new world order. You see, and it's going to be extremely harmful to people, man. You see, he's presenting this thing like people are just going to go about their everyday life with just more technology, more speed, more convenience. That's what he's selling them, man. All right, what this devil is doing is very dangerous to people, man. Okay, and he knows it's a risk, but he doesn't fully understand what this is going to look like. Okay, well, he rolls this out, tries to roll this out on a global scale. Okay, you see, this devil is a madman. All right, and it's going to play a part. You know, the infrastructure itself is harmful to people. Just the infrastructure. Okay, all this computing power, like all this energy, it's heat. Okay, so this ain't no light thing that this devil is doing. It ain't like, you know, I say, it ain't just, you know, you going from the i5 18 to i5, you know, the iPhone 19. You know, it's not just a new iPhone with more cameras on the back of it. Okay, this is a lot, okay, of you know, radioactivity. Okay, a lot of frequencies, and the human body is not meant. It does see this devil's technology. It is so unnatural. and it's not meant for humans to be exposed, okay, to this infrastructure that he's trying to set up. Okay, and he don't give a damn. You know, he wants to pull this off. He wants to make a name for himself, man. Okay, to try to be like the Most High. Okay, so let's play some more.
Thousands, even millions of synchronized micro antennas that can track and beam signals directly to you with extreme precision. And 6G doesn't just broadcast, it actually targets you wherever. It adjusts itself automatically based on your environment, your movement, and your behavior. This is why surveillance experts are sounding the alarm, as you can imagine. 6G isn't just about faster phones. It's about the creation of a constantly sensing, constantly tracking digital ecosystem. So more about this AI native part of it, because it's important. AI changes everything, and 6G will, number one, predict your movement, anticipate traffic flow, detect behavioral anomalies, like we've been covering this, right? Oh, this person's like antisocial. This person doesn't leave their house on a regular basis. We should flag that. Maybe he's a terrorist. It'll also enforce automated restrictions. It'll also integrate with that digital ID system, of course, and it'll make split-second decisions without any human oversight. So this becomes the nervous system of like a hyper-connected society. Every camera, every sensor, every vehicle, every appliance in your home, every wearable, like every medical device, all.
And this is going to be the infrastructure in which, you know, people will be policed and governed, all right, by AI. Okay, going to be policed and governed by this AI technology, man. Okay, and he's building the infrastructure for these things to play out. Okay, so 6G is going to be, you know, the Wi-Fi of his DPI. Okay.
All feeding data into a single unified intelligent network. So 6G isn't just faster, it's aware of everything that you're doing. And that raises some serious concerns. So when will 6G actually arrive? Well, right now, 6G is in research and development. Tests began back in 2020. Prototypes are already being deployed worldwide. Most experts predict, though, a full commercial launch by the year 2030. So just 5 years.
And there's been the constant number, you know, the constant year, you know, that you hear. Okay, Agenda 2030. You know, when you go into what you call the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Okay, you know, you hear the World Economic Forum speak about it, you know, 2030, which, you know, we are already in 2026, you know, the way, you know, things are moving, you know, and the Lord said he's going to speed up the time and shorten the time. Okay, so we're in the clutch of this thing, man. All right, and these devils lie about, you know, where they at. They ain't just start researching this in 2020, 6G. Okay, and these devils a lie like these are future plans, but they'll be rolling them out now. Okay, so I want to fast forward because he goes into an interview. He brings this woman on. Here she go, Kim Bright. All right. So let's go to this interview with her. Okay. Let's see.
Well, we're going to dig into that with our next guest, who's been warning about these health consequences for years and has been studying this for years. Kim Bright is the founder of BrightCore, and she is back on the show. Kim, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Well, great to see you too. And what a subject, huh? This is a terrifying subject where every move is going to be monitored, documented, and analyzed. And it's not just what we're doing, Clayton, but what the system thinks that we're likely to do next. This is something incredibly sci-fi.
I mean, let's talk about the human body. And this is one of your areas of expertise, of course. But, you know, you have all these scientists warning about 5G, and they just got totally ignored about it. I mean, I have people in our comments on a regular basis who talk about like how they just can't be near certain towers. It really affects them. They've asked us repeatedly, hey, can you guys do more stories on 5G and this technology? I mean, this now, what it does to the human body, maybe you can kind of break that down for us.
Well, we went from, the hertz is a measurement of frequency, and 1 hertz is, in 1 second, that's the amount of frequency. We're all the way up with 5 and 6G. We're going into almost gamma rays. We're up into terahertz, which are trillions of frequencies per second. The human body can't handle that. And it is just it's not built that way. I mean, but here's what they're doing now. They've designed these antennas, not only what you mentioned in the outside, but they've designed different antennas to be fitted onto the human body. You've got your rings now. Everybody's like, oh, they think it's so cool to get one of these rings or bracelets or watches. That's just to name a few of what they're making people think is so cool to have. And people that are wearing these things, Clayton, they've already had so many negative experiences with them. I mean, people are having severe allergic reactions, headaches, fatigue. So these people that are creating this know that it's dangerous. And of course, the WHO, they established a project back in 1996 called the EMF Project, Electromagnetic Field Project, to assess the scientific evidence regarding possible health effects on EMF exposure. Well, they've reviewed approximately, they say, 25,000 articles over the past 30 years. Of course, we have no idea who wrote these articles or what their viewpoints are or anything, but they're saying that's what they've done. And the WHO, from looking at all this, has concluded that the current evidence does not confirm the existence of any health consequences from exposure to low-level electromagnetic fields. Now, what we're talking about here in terahertz is not low level. So this is just craziness.
Right.
And then we've got
what's low level? Like
low level, what your radio waves were like 30,000 hertz. We're talking about in terahertz, 1 billion hertz per second, not 30,000. We're talking magnitudes of order here. Now, they've got what's called an IARC classification. That's the International Agency for Research on Cancer. And that's a specialized agency of the WHO, World Health Organization, and they're classifying radio frequency EMFs from mobile phones, Wi-Fi's, on and on. And as they're saying, they're possibly carcinogenic to humans. That's back in 2011, as you mentioned. Now, this was supposedly based on an observed increased risk for a specific type of brain cancer. And it was among the heaviest mobile phone users in some, but not all studies. And it indicated that a causal link, again, these words just blow me away, causal link, it is considered possible, but the evidence is limited and not conclusive. So the known health effects that they're saying, the only consistent acknowledged health effect from EMFs that they're actually putting out there is that it heats body tissues at very high exposure levels. And they're using that as the basis for current exposure limits.
So it heats by body levels. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you can't escape it. Right. I kind of joked about moving to Wyoming and Alaska.
So basically, the DPI, is going to be like one big microwave, this digital public infrastructure. It will be like, existing in the microwave, as these magnet, fields actually heat up body tissue, man. Okay. This man, he turned the earth into a death camp. This man has to be stopped. Okay. So just to sum up what they were saying, man, this devil, all these, these terahertz, because she said the radio, those old radios used to have FM AM radios, 30,000. All right. hertz. Okay. But now they're in the billions and even trillions dealing with the hertz, man. Okay. So this devil, he's constantly, speaking on how he's doing these things for, all right, the advancement of humanity. Okay. But he's not telling you, all right, how harmful these things could potentially be. And remember, he wants to depopulate anyway, you know? So we'll see, man. All right.
That's good in the intro here. But I mean, if you can't escape it, what are you to do about it? I've heard, stories from people who've like petitioned the government. I mean, they can't sleep at night. They've had all sorts of issues where they're at massive anxiety that it's hit. I've had friends who've tried to wear an Apple Watch and their whole arm turned red and they couldn't wear it. His whole arm became inflamed. He's like, I can't wear this thing. And I was like, what? And he literally, his whole arm turned red and got rashes from wearing it.
Well, with 5G, that's just using 5G now, but the primary established effect of that intense RF energy, it heats the tissues. So that's evidence right there. If it got all red, it's heating the tissues. It's literally dehydrating us. But supposedly these international exposure limits are in place to prevent this from happening under normal usage. I mean, this is crazy the way they talk. And the problem with these established limits, Clayton, is it's not been studied with enough time of constant exposure to conclude that it's in fact unharmful. I mean, they're using mice and exposing them for a day or a week. We need to look at what in the world are they doing? What is this doing over a period of months and years? And they just haven't done it. And again, the WHO hasn't changed their position on the safety of 5G since 2011. And they're even saying some studies suggesting harm have been criticized for poor methodology or a lack of independent replication or for using high exposure levels that don't represent real world public exposure. Well, excuse me, these studies that are looking at higher exposures are very valid. They just don't want you to know they are.
Right, because to me, exactly, they're valid. And to me,
Yeah, man. So this is just, I put the link in the description box. You can watch, the rest of it. It's about another 20 minutes, about 17 minutes on there. But yeah, so this is what this devil, okay, is rolling out, man. This is a part of his DPI, his digital public infrastructure. Okay. Is in order to make all this shit work, all right, he has to turn the earth into an oven. Okay. He has to set all these, devices, okay, and all this computing power, okay, because the computers have to talk to one another, and those frequencies go out, okay, and what he needs, all right, he needs faster computing power. Okay, which that all comes with heat and radioactivity, man. So he can't just, turn the knob up and it doesn't have an effect on people. You see, and all these things, everything that he's building is not natural, man. Okay, it's not natural. You see, everything that was made in the beginning, going back to Genesis, it was good. It agreed with the body. Okay, the trees, the flowers, the plants, the animals, everything agreed with one another. Okay, this nigga, what he's building is not agreeable. Okay, let's go back there real quick, and then we're gonna go to the chat. All right, well, let's go back to Genesis. Just get that word to wild, man. Let's get this word to wild. All right, because what he's building out is not agreeable. Okay, and that nigga gonna lie about the effects of it. He's gonna say he done the study, he didn't find anything, and that nigga don't care. Okay, he want to play the Most High. Okay, the deaths of millions or even billions, all right, doesn't factor in with him attempting to be the Most High. And he wants to get rid of a lot of people anyway. Okay, let's see. Yep. So this is just to get that word to wild. Genesis 1:12. It says, and the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and the Most High saw, all right, of the Elohim, so like in Elohim, all right, the angels led by Yahushua, Yahushua the first fruit. Okay, it says, and the Elohim saw that it was good. Now, you get this word, all right, good in the Hebrew, which is tawab. Okay. So this word good. All right. So you go into this word, okay, good, tawab in the Hebrew. What it means is good, pleasant, agreeable. Okay. Pleasant to the higher nature. The smells, everything that was created in the beginning, even certain smells, man. That's why you got a thing called aromatherapy, man, which is therapeutic. The smell of the earth is therapeutic. All right, the soundtrack of the earth, the birds, how they open up the flowers to get them ready to be pollinated. Okay, the sun, the way it feels, just the presence of this, everything. All right, is agreeable. Okay, to creation, everything that was created. All right, was created to be for the good of the other. Okay, it says good, appropriate. You see, pleasant. Okay, agreeable, man. Okay, it says glad, happy, prosperous of man's sensuous nature. Okay, good understanding of man's intellectual nature. So in the beginning, everything was tawab. It was good. It was agreeable. You see, and Adam received, all right, the breath, that wisdom to manage these things. Okay, in its proper order. Okay, and this man, all right, he's completely against the natural way. Okay, this man, his way is destructive. Okay, because remember, going back to Revelation, all right, you got to get this. You get this often. Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him. This is Esau and his power. So within Esau and his rulership, okay, what will he do against the things that's already tawab, that's good, that's agreeable, that's peaceable? Okay, it says, and power was given to him that said thereon to take peace from the earth. Okay, so what this man builds, it works against you. Okay, this man's technology, what he says is advancement in society, it works against you, man. And they that should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, all right, which is his weaponry, but his technology, even his devices, okay, are weapons, man. So everything that this man is trying to establish, it works against, all right, that natural way. Now let's go here, because I say the brother found this in the chat yesterday. All right. So when you go here, he asked it about this DPI, Esau, the mark of the beast, and the chat went in. Okay. It says the DPI has three main layers. Okay. Identity, payments, and data exchange. Each one aligns with the rise of the beast system, the mark infrastructure, and the centralized control the Bible warned us about. Okay, so this man is building out, okay, what the Bible warns about in Revelation, man. Okay, John the Revelator seen, okay, this in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. This is the infrastructure he's seen people merging with. This was the infrastructure that was up and running when he said you couldn't buy and sell without that Quran, the mark, man. Okay, so you go here, identity layer. Who are you? It says this is the first step of the beast system is global identification and tracking. All right, Revelation 13, 16, and 17. The whole world will be identified before they can be controlled. He calls it all, small and great, to receive a mark that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark. Before buying and selling can be restricted, you must be identified. This is the identity infrastructure. Okay, so this man is building the infrastructure to make this MOTB mandatory, man. Because before he mandates the MOTB, he has to have an infrastructure to regulate it. Okay, this is what he's building now. Psalms 10 and 8. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Esau wants constant surveillance, justified by digital ID security, man. Okay. That's why you keep hearing the tracking aspect, the identity aspect is for your safety. You know, but it's for constant surveillance, man. Okay. Daniel 7 and 25 said he shall think to change times and laws. Changing how identity works is literally changing the structure, okay, of human life, man. All right. And this man, he wants to rewrite existence, man. Okay, through his technology. He wants to create the earth after his image, and he wants to play the Most High through his technology. Okay, it says Revelation 13 and 17, no man might buy or sell. This directly ties the digital payment system, all right, replacing cash. Okay, this directly ties to digital payment systems replacing cash, man. Okay, Habakkuk 2 and 9. Woe to him, because see, these guys that say that the mark of the beast is sin, they can't explain the infrastructure that's being set up that's going to restrict you from buying and selling because of sin. Okay, that don't make sense. An embargo. Okay, this man's philosophies. You can't explain how you're going to be restricted from buying and selling. Okay, with that doctrine of the mark of the beast being sin and philosophies, man. Okay, it says, woe to him that coveted an evil covetousness, that he may set his nest on high. Digital money lets Esau set his nest on high, controlling wealth from above. Okay, you see, from what these clouds. All right, which these clouds are not actually in the sky; they're these data centers. Okay, but they interact with these satellites that are in the heavens. That's above. Okay, it says James 5, 1 and 3 says your gold and silver is cankered. The world is moving away from physical money. Exactly what the scripture, all right, implies, man. Okay, it said data exchange layer. How do systems talk? Okay, it says this layer is the central brain of the beast system. Every record, medical, financial, travel, employment, etc., becomes part of one interconnected database, man, and all these nations are on board. Okay, so these nations are all being interconnected digitally, man. Okay, and the Lord, all right, and Yahweh Shai got it set up for these nations to be interconnected digitally. So when he comes, he's just going to crash this whole system. He's going to destroy this whole system at once. He's going to destroy the militaries at once. Okay, because this new system is going to cause these nations to go to war. Because these nations don't want shared power in this new system, man. Okay, Esau never dealt rightly, even amongst themselves, man. They're going to fight over this system. The closer they see this system being implemented and being rolled out, all right, it's going to get to the point the Lord going to cause them to fight over this system, man. Okay? So Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, the Heavenly Father, is interconnecting these nations and drawing them out for war at the same time for Yahweh Shah to come destroy everything at once. Okay, it's gonna be one swoop. Okay, Yahweh Shah gonna come through and destroy the militaries and this infrastructure, man. Okay, it says, yep, cross-cutting layers in DPI infrastructure, governance layer. This aligns the UN, CBDCs, WHO Digital Health Certificate, global regulatory frameworks. Okay. It said, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Unified global governance is exactly what DPI is built for, man. You know, so these nations, all right, are giving their power, especially these EU nations. You know, they're giving their power to this digital beast system. They're giving it their power to, you know, the dollar. Okay, all these nations peg their currency to the dollar, you know, which allow, you know, America to weaponize the dollar. Okay, but now this new system, these nations are down with this new digital system, man. Okay, it says security layer says everything will require biometric login, encrypted digital ID, multi-factor verification. This is the basis for the MOTB, the mark. Okay. Signs and line wonders, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, technological miracles. All right. Food the masses. Okay. All right. It said he calls it all. The system must reach every person for prophecy to be fulfilled, man. And as we seen from that previous video, they're already rolling this out globally. Okay. You see? And then you get to the end, it says the hope, Yahweh Shai's kingdom will destroy this system. Okay, and this is what Yahweh Shai is coming to tear down, man. Okay, it says this digital empire prepares the way for Esau's final rule. All right, and consume all these kingdoms, and that's Yahweh Shai. Because when that chariot comes, that's the beginning of our kingdom. When we see that chariot in the sky, that's the beginning of our kingdom. That's an extension of our kingdom. Okay, and it's coming to destroy these kingdoms. Okay, their fathership, Yahweh Shai, is going to be on, is coming to break in pieces all this shit Esau done built up, man. Okay, that's the sum of it. Okay, so this DPI, this digital public infrastructure, okay, was necessary for this devil, you know, to build out so it can be torn down. And let's get this here, you know, and it centralizes all these governments. So Yahweh Shai can just come through and break all this shit up, man. Okay. So let's go here. You see, this is the role heathens play in prophecy, man. Okay. Heathens gonna go into captivity for being in league with Esau, man. Okay. And this is a great rebellion what these heathens are doing. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get this in Revelation 17 and then 18, then we'll get that in Malachi. All right. This is Revelation 17 and 2. Okay. I started 1. And it says, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay. Well, this is America. Okay. Well, sitteth on many waters, which is many people. America has been this influence, this great influence. The elites have used America to influence the nations into complete rebellion. Okay, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication, man. And this is a part of their wine. Okay, this is a part of this devil philosophy. Okay, this digital world order. Okay, this new system. Okay, of everyone being on this one global. Okay, platform, okay, and digitally connected, okay, and AI, all right, governing, okay, and regulating the masses, okay. This is what all these nations on board with. This is part of this, the wine of Esau, man. Okay, is this new world order, digital, all right, technocracy, man. That's a part of their wine, okay. And these nations, they're drunken it down, okay, and they're on board to try to roll this thing out, okay. But it's going to lead to what, man? Overthrow. This is the system Yahweh Shai is coming to overthrow, man. Okay. This is Revelation 18:3 said, "For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Yeah, because these nations, they're mad. They're drunken like Esau. They're mad like this nigga, man. This nigga is crazy. Okay, this is like an actual drunk man, but he's drunken off philosophies, man. Okay, that's why he doesn't care about the consequences of what he's trying to do. He just trying shit now. Like a drunk man just trying shit. This is Esau on the earth. Okay, it says, "And the kings of the earth had committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies," man. Because these nations enjoy the consumerism of America. America's consumer economy enriches the earth. Okay, because all this technology and everything that these nations produce, well, America is the number one consumer of it, man. Okay, so these elites of these heathens, they've been enriched off the consumerism, okay, of America, man. Okay, so they're in league with this whore, and all these nations are going to get punished, man. Okay, their military is going to be destroyed, and they're going to captivity. Okay, let's go here. This is Malachi 1:4. It said, "Esau descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins." Okay, so they fell, the pagan Roman Empire, which was, that's Esau's golden age. That was his peak of having power, wealth, and influence in the world, was as the Romans. And that was shattered. Western Rome fell. Okay, Esau, was pushed out, okay, from amongst the sphere of influence in the earth, okay, for that 1,000 years, okay. But then he was allowed to rebuild the ruins, and we're in the midst of these ruins that this man has rebuilt. He's revived Greco-Rome on a whole nother level. You see, to the point it's digital now. But the Lord of Heaven's armies replied, "They may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness, and the people will be called the people with whom the Lord is forever angry," man. And the Lord is pissed at this man for trying to build this out, man. And he's going to show his anger through Yahushua, and he's going to demolish, okay, everything Esau has built again. Okay, so that was all right. Dealing with the digital gathering of the nation is DPI. So we're gonna keep tapping into these things, and Lord will. All right, you brothers, okay, and you sisters edified once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful Shalom.